And after we have established the duty, okay, and then of course the standard, okay, and checking all these whether the defendant actually fulfill the standard of care. So basically, if they have duty and they do not and they have not met up to the standard of care, then there is possibilities for negligence. Okay, and again, we cannot straight away impart and say that okay, that person has committed negligence. You see, so there is still a difficulty here that we have to face. Is this negligence action is need to be proven, not only with the two rules here, but the plaintiff, the claimants, okay, they need to prove that the defendant is actually negligent, meaning that they must have enough evidence, they must go through all the procedures of a duty standard, and then from there, do their best to prove the defendant is actually negligent. But obviously, there is two things here that if the negligence is what we consider as things that speaks for itself, means it's so obvious in today's language is it's like it's damn obvious. You see, so when it's damn obvious, then basically there's no need to do that anymore. Okay, so the saying of res ipsa locutor, I don't know how to pronounce that actually, and it's actually probably Latin, you see, that the defendant, the thing that causes damage is completely under the exclusive control of the defendant. So it's very obvious. It's your responsibilities. You can control it. You should have controlled it. You didn't control it. So this is no need to talk about it anymore, So no need to find evidence, no need to go through all sorts of hearings to prove the case, you see. Then the accidents or the things that happen, okay, it would not happen if you didn't do the actions or if you didn't actually not do these things, you see. So if I'm an engineer, I did not commit, if I did not do that design, so obvious, I did not do the 3 steps, then of calculating certain steps in calculating is so obvious. Without doing that, like in the design high rise, you cannot not include wing load. So if you don't include wing load, then obviously you have it's under your control, and then you didn't do it, and then it happens. So if you have done it, it would not have happened. It's basically that concept of if you have done it, it would not have happened. Okay, so there's no such thing like, we must explain, there must be an explanation behind the accidents, there must be something else behind the evidence. It's basically, that's it, you see. Now, it's only available when there's no explanation needed, you see. So these are the three obvious evidence that the respondents, the claimants does not, or plaintiff does not have to go all the way up. So because if you have all these 3 or one or a few or 1 or 2 of these things here, then there's no need to go through that. You see, no need to go through that proving. And the other thing is when there is an conflicting between criminal act and negligence. So obviously the respondent has been sued for negligence. If you have break traffic law, but does not mean that breaking this traffic law is causing the negligence. You see? So you cannot take breaking laws as the proof for negligence. So you still have to look at it from 2 perspectives, whether they are breaking the law and committing negligence, and then from there establish that this action will cause negligence. It's not direct, you see, like this is a criminal action. If it's is sued for negligent driving, has convicted a criminal offense in respect to the driving. So the defendant must prove that they are not negligent. They broke the law, but they are not negligent. I mean, it's very difficult. It sounds like if basically you broke the law, you caused the action, how can you not be negligent? You see, again, there must be enough of proof here. Especially in the view of they are also breaking other laws like traffic laws, for example. Okay, and criminal law also, because like let's say in construction, in engineering, sometimes we actually committed like things like corruption, bribery, because of their actions, does not mean that this action is causing the negligence. I don't know. I mean, like, it sounds a bit silly, but actually, they can try to prove it that way. Basically, if it's not proven, then you still cannot convict the defendant for negligence. So this is the basic concept of negligence. So we've got these three areas and few recordings that talks about the duty, how the duty has to be proven with four elements, and the standard, that whether he met the standard, what is the standard, he met the standard, and the standard has to be established in the five aspects, and then there is exclusivity, in that it is number one, the standard of a reasonable man, and the other one is the event surrounding how these things happen, such as emergency, if the case is actually put under emergency, or it's just impossible to carry out procedures under the particular circumstances, then the standard has not been breached. Even though there's a duty and there's a standard that has been breached, we will also need to properly prove all these elements before we can convict the defendant for negligence. The claimant has to make an effort, except for these two instances where it's already very obvious, or there is, in fact, he was actually sued in the first place for criminal conviction. Commission and the criminal commission actually brought forward or a negligence case, you see. Then we need to look into that, and the defendant needs to prove that, yes, I broke the law, but does not mean that I have committed negligence. Again, it's difficult. So, to say that the law of tort is actually very strict, very unreasonable, it is actually very reasonable. It's not simply you can just, shout and say that, every single thing you can sue people. You're in a traffic jam, or you're not happy with something, or, things are not well done, then you start to sue people for nothing. You cannot do that. Basically, it has to involve many elements before we can even go to court this sort of suing. So, plaintiff needs to work hard to prove, defendant needs to work hard to disprove, basically. And of course, both side lawyers have to go about doing their jobs in this matter. For professional liability, I will speak about that in the following sections. And to be more careful with professional responsibility, which is more related to maybe management. You see. Now, the following recording, I will put forward about damages. What's the damages that is considered? Like I said, pure economics loss at the moment around the world is not constituting negligence. So it has to be some form of injuries.